Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and welcome back to the Human Revolution.
Mrs. Reed?
Ah, Adam, I'm sorry you startled me. And please, call me Cassandra. You and Megan were together long enough. I was waiting for you.
Out here? Why not come meet me inside?
I don't know. I guess I'm just not ready. This is where you work, but to me, this is also the place where I lost my daughter.
Interesting range of responses there.
I know what you mean. It's never been the same for me either.
I guess it's not meant to be easy. It seems there's just no right way to deal with something like this. And I can't even begin to imagine how things have been for you after all you've been through.
Yeah. A lot of things changed 6 months ago.
I can't get over how much they've changed you. At first, I couldn't even believe you were still alive. How do you handle all of this?
And there's the famous line, I never asked for this. I'm not that ungracious.
I do what I have to do, augmented or not.
You seem very pragmatic, Adam. Maybe you should be careful not to trivialize such dramatic changes.
Can I ask why you wanted to see me?
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. I'm here about Megan. About what happened to her. Or rather, about the investigation into what happened.
What about it?
Well, simply put, I feel something is not quite right with the way the case was handled.
You think there was some foul play involved?
I do. Call it mother's intuition. But when speaking to some of the investigators, there were a lot of inconsistencies. And then I met this detective, a man called Chase. He agreed things weren't handled by the book, although he has no proof.
And now you want to find out more?
I'll never hear my daughter laugh again, Adam. I'll never get a call from her to ask how I've been, or have the chance to ask her about her day. She was stolen from me. However unjustified this all is, I still want to know why it happened. You're not the same, Adam. And we've yet to see if it's for better or worse. But I know you loved Megan. Please, will you help me find out what really happened to her?
And here's our second side quest. The only thing we can ask for is a reward, but that's just kind of being an asshole, so...
I never got a chance to investigate the attack myself. I'll look into it.
Thank you. This means the world to me, Adam. Really.
The first thing I'll need to do is meet with this detective, Chase.
Good. He works part-time as a security guard in an apartment building on Brooklyn Court. I'll be waiting for you in your apartment lobby once you're done.
Why does a detective need to work part-time as a security guard?
Oh, he retired soon after the case. I don't really know the details. Maybe he'll tell you more.
I'm on it.
Alright, and so, welcome to the Detroit hub area.
Mr. Jensen, is it true that the leader of the terrorist cell got away? Guess you weren't as ready as Mr. Sarif thought. They released his name, Zeke Sanders. Apparently a veteran of some sort. Now we get to worry about who or what he'll attack next.
My neighbors were there when it happened, you know. The hostage-taking at the Sarif plant. Greg and Josie Thorpe. Do you know them? Oh, thank God they made it out alive.
Oh.
Jensen, right? I've heard about you. Yeah, you were a good cop by most accounts. But you're lucky you got out. Look at the force now. Our badges mean nothing. We've got no authority.
Man, this is a really tall building.
Have you found anything?
Oh, right.
I think that's about it.
Just talk to her, so... Yeah, you can raid the trash cans around here. It looks to be a highway, and that's the monorail, and I really like this skybox around here. They put some real effort into, something a lot of people wouldn't even look at.
Beat it! Are you listening? I said go away!
You believe it? We had the place surrounded, and we were ordered to hang back. Since when did we take orders from David Sarif?
Maybe there was some hazardous material they were worried about.
More like there was something illegal in there that they wanted the rent-a-cop to get rid of. We should have never let that guy in.
I thought Jensen did okay. He helped save the hostages.
He got lucky. I got nothing to say to you. If you want something from Detroit PD, go cry to your boss about it.
You're Jensen, right? One of my buddies told me what you did at the plant. Nice job saving those hostages. Can't imagine what those Purity First nuts were thinking when they went in there.
Ooh, a beer.
I don't really have anything against it. I just think it's disgusting. I mean, grafting metal into your skin? Yuck.
I guess you don't have any tattoos.
It's not the same. You don't need to take drugs for the rest of your life when you have a tattoo.
Well, I think what you do to your body is up to you.
Yeah? Well, when everybody's done doing what they want, what happens to people like us who refuse to become machines? We become the weaker species, that's what. And the next thing you know, we'll be the ones living in derelict row.
Wow, you really don't have an opinion on this, do you? Hey, you seem nice and all, but I'm really not interested. Sorry.
You looking for something? Good luck finding it, whatever it is.
I'm sorry. We're having a private conversation here. Look, I don't have anything against you, but just stay away, okay?
Yeah, okay.
What you got in that head of yours? An intelligence chip? You gonna steal some poor natural's job?
Alright. Well, I can see that there is already like a lot of discrimination brewing around augmentations out here, which is kind of weird because at the same time it's something that only elites can do. So I don't know, maybe it's just trying to get up here, see if I can. Apparently I can't. Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit of sort of the Jewish banker type discrimination, where there's this sort of weird line that they're the wealthy ones, but
If you see any sign of Purity First agitators on the streets, please report it. We don't want any more trouble. Already a hostage taking and an anti-augmentation demonstration today. With the Taggart visit coming up, this city is a powder keg waiting to blow.
You like baseball? That new Sun Park is a monster. The agile therapy they put him on saved his career. Looks like the Tigers are going deep.
it's this weird thing where they're being discriminated against, but at the same time they have all of the advantages somehow. And it's especially weird in this case because it's not like it's not racial, it's not ethnic, it's a choice. It is literally something you have to do to yourself. You have to pay a lot of money to do to yourself. And yet a lot of people who don't have money have this done to them too, because they honestly lose their limbs, or they get black market augs, and it's all just really messy, is the best way I can describe it.
Thanks for at least talking to me. Most people just walk on by like I'm invisible. They've made it practically illegal to be poor in this city. Bastard Sarah's buying up whole blocks and upscaling them. Where the hell are we gonna go? California? The whole West Coast is gonna be underwater in another few years. Bastard Sarah's buying up whole blocks.
And he's not lying either, by the way, because in the Deus Ex timeline, this is just a couple of years before the California earthquake that sinks the West Coast into the ocean. Ooh, looks like we can hack in here. Alright, looks like this is an interesting sort of one-way issue we've got. And you can see that the AI has improved the defense of those two
access granted
spots on the board. That's why it took it a little extra time. Right, but just thinking about the whole anti-AUG thing, I suppose there is a point to making it, hard to connect to any one existing discrimination issue. Because that does make it like a little unique, makes you wonder about the parallels and consider all the different ways in which they occur. Also, phone booths are back. And that's why. It's not just phones anymore, it's a wireless internet spot.
Have you seen the news lately? It's horrible. Global warming, augmentation regulation, it never ends. If only people would open their eyes and see what's really going on. If only people would open their eyes and see what's really going on.
Terrorists on our own soil?
I know, and that guy Taggart claiming he has no connection? I don't believe that for a second.
I heard he's coming to make a speech at the convention center. That's like when the NRA went to Columbine after the second time.
Moses himself, coming to free us from the evil pharaoh, Seraph II.
Yeah. Well, let's hope for a plague on all the humanity front houses.
Adam, nice look you got going on there. You must be hitting the clubs tonight. No rest for the weary in this city, I guess.
Hey, Adam, didn't see you there. You heading home for the evening, or does Mr. Seraph have you looking into something new? Can't talk about it. Right. Well, just take care of yourself, okay?
Interesting. But something else that's interesting is just how vertical you can get. Now, you can get up here and look at the foreshortening on the other side of this window. And you can also see that someone's been dropping some medical supplies off the roof. Or just out the window. I wonder where they came from exactly. Well, we're only interested in the energy bars, so just gonna grab those and leave.
If you see any sign of Purity First agitators on the streets, please report it. We don't want any more trouble. Already a hostage taking and an anti-augmentation.
I think I already listened to this guy.
With a Taggart visit coming up,
Whoops.
he's a powder keg waiting to blow.
Oh yeah, and there's one other thing here. See, you don't have to stay on this ledge, because, well, if I can line it up just right, from over here, I think, you can jump up onto this ledge. It's actually kind of surprising how far the game will let you go in terms of what you can jump on. Like, let's take this signpost here. You can climb on top of it, too. With an interesting perspective of the world from up here. Not sure if there's anywhere you can go from here, though. Just back down, really. Luckily, I don't have to worry about falling damage, so I can just explore up wherever I want.
I mean it, man. Get lost. Just get away.
Nice attitude there.
I don't mean to judge, but I think that people who choose to augment themselves are rejecting their own humanity.
You really don't mean to judge, huh?
They don't understand that it's our limitations that make us human.
Yeah, no, not really.
My ride was supposed to be here 15 minutes ago. I'm gonna kill Gerald when I get home. Looks like I'm taking the subway again. Wish I had legs like yours, then I'd just run home.
Or just get a motor scooter.
The biomod industry is going to tear this city apart, mark my words. Not everyone can afford augments, and those who can't are going to find themselves on the streets before they know it.
Thank you.
This is actually the map for the hub area. Yeah, here it is. It's like pretty much laid out the same way as it is on the map, except a little more details. And up there at the top, that's Derelict Row. That's a mission site. Don't let anyone know that I told you that. It's a secret. And these are all like outside on the streets locations there. Like when it's colored in yellow, like you saw, that means it's on a separate map and you actually have to enter the area in order to see it. Or maybe you just have to click on it. I haven't tried that, but I think that would work. Oh ho, what's this? Something I can jump over, that's what. And for getting here, I get 100 experience points and this stack of credit chips. It's not much, but every little bit helps. Yeah, and I think that's how you're supposed to get up there if you don't have the jumping hog.
Don't get on my nerves, pal. I'm done talking to you.
Some people on the streets are less rude than others. Oh, this person's got a name.
Well, shit. If it ain't the captain himself. Mr. Seraph done fixed you up good, ain't he? Give you a new set of glasses and everything. Damn.
How you doing, Letitia?
Didn't think I'd see you walking this boulevard anytime soon, that's for sure. Not after what happened 6 months ago. People said you's down for the count.
People tend to underestimate me.
You and me both, Captain. You and me both. You got any credits you could spare?
Huh.
Here. It's not credits, but...
Mighty kind, Captain. Mighty kind.
I suppose a person like this would exist in the world.
How about you give me some information, and then we'll see.
Oh, damn, Captain. You ain't no cop no more. Why you gotta insist on using them rules?
Because it's my money this time, not the department's. You want it, you better give me something that's worth it.
Yeah, I guess. So what you wanna know?
We've got some leads on weapons already.
You've always had a good feel for this city, Tish. What's the mood on the street these days?
Oh, things ain't looking good, Captain. People losing their jobs, their homes, locking everything they's own into those garage door storage units round town, hoping nobody breaks in and steals stuff. Mr. Seraph gonna save us? He better do it soon.
Or what?
Not sure. Just feels like this whole city's waiting to explode, especially in the alleys behind the gas station. Most of the time, you's fine walking there, long as you don't cause no trouble. But you do something wrong, well, cops and punks both trigger happy these days.
At least it wasn't worth any money.
It's been a while since I walked the beat. Where would a less than exemplary citizen go these days if he needed to acquire some unlicensed firepower?
Well now, I hear there might be a gun seller or two around town. But an adventuring man, especially one fixed with some of that fancy techno-limbs Mr. Seraph makes, he might be able to acquire a few more if he's willing to go the extra mile.
And here's how it works. She gives you hints for different amounts of money.
I might need to do a little trespassing soon. Maybe get inside some places where I'd rather not be seen going in.
You being kind of vague, Cap, but maybe it's best I don't know the specifics.
You got that right.
What I do know, though, is that most people tend to look down, not up. And even when looking down, they don't necessarily think about what's under their feet. If a person ain't too squeamish about getting dirty, they might be able to get inside one of the more sensitive areas in the city. Especially if they arm themselves ahead of time with the right information.
Suppose we might as well pay her, see what we get.
Interesting thing about the sewers in the city, Captain. Some of them pass right under the police station, but that don't stop some people from hiding things down there.
What kind of things?
I was not sure, but a bunch of them walls been patched over pretty quick. A man like you might be able to find out why. Especially if he's fixed up with some of the magic eyes that sees through stuff. Mr. Seraph has to make eyes like that, don't you think? I was just guessing here, Captain. But since you ain't a policeman no more, maybe it's a bit hard to get you inside that police station some days. Especially when things are being classified. There is a door I know about, though. Connects to the sewers. Only thing is, it's usually locked.
Hate to tell you this, Tish, but that information isn't worth the admission price you're charging.
That's 'cause I ain't giving you the code yet. Jeez, Captain, have some patience. $25.99. $25.99.
That's actually pretty good.
Now, I's not advising you do this. You's being an og and all. But if this trespassing you's needing to do happens to be inside D-Row, street gang territory, then you's definitely don't want to be seen going in.
Because the ballers would sooner rip me apart than ask questions.
Exactly. You being an og now and all. But some of them old buildings over there are real crumbly up near the top. Fire escape's still okay though. So maybe you find a hole, get you inside if you goes up.
Keeping my fingers crossed the whole time that the building doesn't fall apart on my way down.
Oh, they stronger than you think. But it's true. You might want to invest in some of Mr. Sarah's falling down augmentation before you goes in. Cause I'm pretty sure them elevators don't work.
I think I've got all the information I need right now, Tish. Maybe next time.
I be's right here waiting for you, Captain.
And there is a point to giving her beer, too, by the way.
Damn it. My Wi-Fi's out, and I need to check the sports scores right away. Wish I could afford one of those cranial jobs. I can't even cover this month's rent. Unless Baltimore covers the spread. That would be a major fallout.
You're a very lucky man to be able to afford all those augmentations. And the neuropozyne. According to Eliza, VersaLife is making billions on that stuff. It helps to have a captive consumer base, I suppose.
Looks like I can't climb up there, but well, I can climb on this sign. But yeah, there's an invisible wall there. Oh well. But yeah, the metro station here, that's sort of a hidden loading screen between the south and the north ends of the hub. And there's an equivalent that involves going on the west side through the apartments here. And apparently that's how much gasoline cost just before the economy collapsed. Or the gas economy, that is.
I kind of understand where Humanity Front is coming from, but come on. Augmentation is the way of the future. I've been reading all the literature, and some of these neuroprosthetics can be really amazing.
You see that kid Dominguez broke the strikeout record last night? Fucking guy's got a mechanical arm, and they're saying he's the second coming. What a joke. What the hell is the use trying to compete against you people? I might as well pack it in right now. Shit.
No trouble tonight, right? Just give me an excuse.
Yeah, if you're looking at all the litter around here...
Little advice? Avoid Derelict Row. Hate to admit it, we've lost it to the gangs.
That's because this is where the protest was. It apparently got broken up by the cops.
But you might want to stay out of Derelict Row, knowing how the local gang feels about people with enhancements.
I wouldn't know about those things. All I know is that this violence doesn't serve anyone.
Well, I guess the question now becomes, will the pro-human groups retaliate when Bill Taggart gets here?
He's that Humanity Front guy, right?
He's speaking at the convention center in a few days.
That's gonna be a day from hell.
You look like you're built for trouble.
Listen, just because you have money doesn't make you better than me.
Sorry, bud. The protest broke up hours ago. There's nothing to see here anymore. I'm sure the evening news will tell you everything you want to know.
Yeah, it got broken up by the cops because of the hostage situation. So it sort of ended.
These limb riots are being organized by the government. They want an excuse to exact martial law and split this country up.
Keep it down, pal. People are on the edge right now, and we don't want any more trouble.
What will you say when you're kidnapped by a bunch of augmented soldiers and put in a concentration camp?
Haven't put much thought into it, okay?
Haven't you heard of REX anymore? FEMA is setting up camps right here in Detroit.
Yeah, and Stevie Y is actually a 600-year-old vampire. This augmentation debate is bringing all the crazies out. Back away, buddy. I don't want any trouble here.
This is just the first step in the plan. One day they will use our fears to control us all.
I'd stay off the streets near D-Row if I were you, mister. The DRBs keep an eye on everyone. Walking above ground. Heard a few augmented city workers doing maintenance on the sewers got into their territory? Man, it was a
If I can get out
bloodbath.
of work for a day or
Even the
two,
police
then
won't
yes.
go near D-Row.
Can't talk to her because she's on the phone.
There is no way. Believe me, I've tried.
Yeah, this This is actually pretty interesting. The amount of detail they put into the rear area of that store, the liquor store. Got to be careful here because of that cop around the corner. If he sees me, I could get in trouble, but I don't think he's looking this way right now. And luckily, they do provide you a warning that lets you sort of back off before anything bad happens. So it's not just, hey, you're hacking that, time for a fight.
Access granted.
That's not how it goes.
Tossing digipads out in the trash left and right in order to bring you this show via satellite. But I'm good with it. I'm good with it because I understand the reality of living in a slave state. You can bet they'll keep trying to shut us down, but I won't stop.
It's kind of weird, really. You know? Living in a world where all the conspiracy theorists are the right ones. Oh, here, stop talking.
Liberty in mind and body. Oh, they were so right when they decided to pick that name. My brother got his hands augmented at a limb clinic last year, and it really made a difference in his life. Hello, who is it?
Oh, hello there. But yeah, it's like, the craziest people are the most correct.
I'd advise you to stay away from the DRB gang if you
Jensen, right? I've heard about you. Yeah.
What the hell happened here?
You're not one to take a hint, are you? Hey, stop bothering me.
Who do you think you are? Forget the small talk.
Take a hike. Leave me alone.
I suppose it makes sense that they're all angry. I mean, if that's their cars there, and they're the ones stuck in traffic like this. Anyway, this is the convention center. Nothing happening in it right now, but eventually it'll come to life. Until then, there's just a bunch of bangers here.
You serious? You gonna join the derelict rollballers? In the middle of a gang war?
Yo, keep your voice down, man. Why don't you just call Eliza and have her broadcast it?
I'm telling you, Spike. Those cats are serious about taking out the bangers.
And? You a fucking cog lover or something?
Shut it, D-Bone. Look, Paul, the gang war don't scare me. Because I hear the MCBers don't stand a chance. Not with all the firepower that's been slipping into D-Row.
Yeah, that. More than enough to bag each one of us a cog.
So these are some anti-augment punks.
Are you listening in on our convo or something? Get lost, punk. You think you're a baller because you got a nice pair of shades? Think again.
You better not go there, man. Unless you want to get hurt.
Yeah, and these are what I would like to call the territorial enemies.
You better...
Like, they won't attack you.
Whoa, I heard a noise.
Get him! Holy shit!
Ah, there we go.
I'm gonna get you, asshole.
Uh-oh. Yep, I got a couple shots in on me. Yeah, but like I was saying, these are territorial enemies. Which means that they give you warnings, tell you to back off. But if you persist in exploring the area and entering a location you're not allowed to go, then they will attack you. So that was me just being, you know, a little proactive. Anyway, it is possible to sneak past them, I think, and, oh yeah, this is the point at which the cat sat on my mouse. And my keyboard. And that's when I got her off of it. So, you know, just explaining what the hell just happened there. But yeah, it is possible to just sort of sneak around the gangsters. But, well, you know, just eat a couple protein bars, punch them out, that works too. Alright, but that's enough of that.
Love for your fellow man.
Time to go visit the limb clinic, finally.
Mr. Jensen, David Seraph told me you'd be dropping by. I've just been reviewing the test results we received on you last week.
Should I start rolling up my sleeves?
Surprisingly, no. I see no trace of glial tissue buildup in any of your charts.
It's been 6 months, Doc. Shouldn't I be under opposite shots by now?
One would think, but these test results show no signs of implant rejection. If anything, the bond between tissue and electrodes seems to be getting stronger.
So I'm free to go?
Well, Mr. Seraph did ask me to discuss another topic with you. You are aware that several precautionary measures had to be put into place during your first surgery?
Not all of my implants were switched on, I know.
The damage caused by the hematoma had to be taken into account. Your brain needed time to recover, to get used to the mechanical neural processors and turn them on naturally over time.
Cut to the chase, Doc. What does Seraph want?
He feels that you might be ready to speed up the activation process using special software known as Praxis kits.
You mean I don't have to wait for my augmentations to kick in naturally anymore?
You can, if you prefer. But Mr. Seraph did make a generous donation to LIM in your name, thus ensuring that Praxis software linked to your particular neuroenhancements would always be available to you and you alone. Please, take a look.
So that's the game explaining how you can gain Praxis by either finding kits or through experience points. Cyberboost Pro Energy Jar, by the way, that is a that takes up 4 spaces in your inventory. It does not stack at all, but it restores 3 batteries at once, which is not really worth the trade-off.
Very well, Mr. Jensen. Use it in good health.
You also saw that they were selling Typhoon ammo.
Nice jacket. I bet you're hiding some real cutting-edge enhancements under it, aren't you? My ex-boyfriend was a pro-human purist. The bastard. Dumped his ass as soon as I figured out what he was.
What a dick. Cutting in line like that.
A lot of work done here in Detroit. This is the first time I've actually had the guts to walk in the door. It's a big step. But I've wanted to do this for ages.
My first surgery. It's expensive, but you gotta look at it as an investment in the future. My first surgery. It's expensive, but you gotta
I really don't see what all the fuss is about all. It's just progress. Stand still and you get left behind, know what I mean?
Getting Augs is the way to go, man. Now how you gonna defend yourself in today's world without Augs? You come up against a damn criminal that's all geared up, what are you gonna do? It's survival of the fittest.
Pull out a gun.
You've got to look at augmentation surgery as an investment. I would kill to work at a place that had an augmentation subsidy policy.
Dr. Chechery, call 217. Dr. Chechery, call 217.
I'll be there.
100% independent of corporate or national control.
Nice jacket. I bet you're hiding some real cutting-edge enhancements.
I'm sure.
Been under anesthesia before. Is it true they stop your heart and the machine does your breathing?
More or less. I know it sounds a little hair-raising, but we do it every day, several times over. It's a very safe procedure.
Will I feel any pain or anything?
It gets done through your IV needle. You'll be asked to count backwards, and the next thing you know, you'll be opening your eyes and the procedure will be over.
Wow. Will I dream?
Not while you're under, but you might afterward as you wake up.
Wow. Sorry, I was just looking at that scar on your head. Did you get that before or after the surgery?
Well, they are kind of related. Here's another scholar book about the eye.
If you're here for some work, please go to the counters. If you're here for some work, please go to the counters.
Not much to do in the back part here, but there are a couple of things in here, such as a Cyberboost Pro Energy Jar, and I've got just one too few spaces to hold it, and I need to hang on to those cans of beer, by the way. Need to give them to what's her face, the woman with it looking through the trash, you know. I mean, there is actually a purpose to giving her a bunch of beer. Right. Anyway, I'm not actually going to be hanging on to the jar because it takes up a lot of space that isn't worth it. You can pack in a lot more energy in a lot fewer spaces with the singles and the small packs. Anyway, yeah, Lim is under the control of the WHO and thus the UN, which, in Deus Ex kind of means something. And another one of those emails was about Jensen. Oh, and as we're coming out here, I should explain. I accidentally deleted the last segment of this video, so it's going to stop rather abruptly.
But some of those guys were carrying tire irons and setting garbage cans on fire.
And those were the ones we arrested. The rest were merely exercising their right to free speech.
What about my right to come to work each day without fearing for my life? I've still got to walk home tonight.
I understand your concern. But if you want round-the-clock protection, I suggest you hire a private security company. Sorry.
Yep, just like so. So, here's an interesting story to start out today's Cyberpunk Corner. Apparently, when Blade Runner came out in 1982, it so closely matched the sort of visuals William Gibson had in his head back when he was writing Neuromancer, that he revised several sections of the book so that people wouldn't accuse him of ripping the movie off. It really just goes to show you how much Cyberpunk was born from the zeitgeist of the early 80s and not just a single author's head. Well, that's enough about Gibson. It's time we begin. The story about the story. Blade Runner began life as a novel by Philip K. Dick, released in 1968, with a completely different title, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Now, I'll be getting to Dick directly somewhere further down the line, but for now, I should at least say that he was apparently inspired to write this book after coming across a diary written by an SS officer who worked at a Nazi concentration camp. At one point, the officer complained that the screams of children were keeping him up at night, and Dick, at least, interpreted this as less that the torment in his soul was preventing him from sleeping, and more that he was bothered by the noise pollution of wailing inmates. Dick's takeaway was that soulless monsters with the appearance of humans were walking among us, and this is borne out in the book. The critical flaw of the androids is their lack of human empathy, a fact that the Voight-Kampff test is designed to detect. Anyway, in the early 80s, Hampton Fancher decided he wanted to adapt the book into a movie, and although Dick needed some convincing, he eventually gave his permission. Fancher got Michael Dealey to produce the film through Warner Brothers, Dealey being a producer who also handled the Italian Job and The Deer Hunter. And his first contribution to Blade Runner was his choice of director, Ridley Scott, who had recently released the first Alien movie to international acclaim. Alien was a very visual movie, one which had a definite lived-in sci-fi look about it, and that's exactly what Blade Runner needed to have. Scott and Fancher worked on the script for months, eventually bringing in David Peoples for additional revisions. They headhunted Harrison Ford for the lead role since Dealey figured he must be good if Spielberg wanted him for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then they brought in Sean Young as Rachel, Daryl Hannah as Pris, Edward James Olmos as Detective Gaff, James Hong as Hannibal Chu, and the Dutchman Rutger Hauer as Roy Batty, the leader of the replicants. For the exterior sets, the crew converted basically the entire cityscape backlot of Warner Brothers. A cityscape, by the way, which also featured in classic films noir like The Maltese Falcon and The Big Sleep. Not that you could recognize it after the set designer bolted neon signs and plastic tarps to everything, mind you. Unfortunately, the main shooting was a miserable affair that went way over budget and way past schedule. It's constantly raining in the movie, and it's constantly nighttime, and so all the cast and crew were perpetually hot, wet, tired, and in a bad mood. At the same time, Ridley Scott had a perfectionist streak a mile long, and happened to be a set director, which meant he would reset a shot to move a background light, but he mostly left the actors to their own devices. This particularly clashed with Harrison Ford's style, since he preferred clear instructions on how to act out a scene. post-production effects went well thanks to a young production team that delivered some incredible shots and did so under budget. They also brought in the Greek musician Vangelis to compose the score thanks to his award-winning work on Chariots of Fire. However, the financial heads at Warner were less than impressed by this point, especially after half the test audience didn't get the movie. Warner demanded several changes, chief among them a voiceover narration by Ford and an out-of-place happy ending. And according to someone who went with Ford to the sound studio that day, he did in fact put in as little effort as possible on the narration in the hopes that they wouldn't use it. But they did so anyway. Ultimately, the changes didn't save the film, and the critical reaction was just as split as the test audience. Still, Blade Runner gathered a small and steadily expanding cult following, especially after home video became a thing, and in the early 90s, someone accidentally screened the original cut with no narration and the bittersweet ending, and it led to what basically started the director's cut fad. That's where the studio, sometimes with a director's assent and sometimes without it, would release a different film cut for home video. And for reference, I will be summarizing the final cut of Blade Runner, a 2007 release rejiggered by Ridley Scott himself to represent the closest thing to his original vision of the movie. The story. We start out with a text crawl explaining that Nexus 6 replicants are artificial human beings used for shitty jobs in the off-world colonies, and that Blade Runners on Earth kill any replicants that make it to the planet. The visuals begin with a long shot of a blasted, smoggy cityscape. Los Angeles, 2019. The only relief from the countless flaming smokestacks are giant step pyramid arcologies, whose design was deliberately borrowed from Metropolis. A man gives a Leon Kowalski the Voight-Kampff test, which is supposed to test if he's a replicant or a human. It's intentionally stressful to provoke emotional responses, and when the tester asks about Leon's mother, Leon pulls a gun and shoots him. After some more city shots, we meet our protagonist, Deckard Cain. He's eating at a noodle shop when a Detective Gaff picks him up and takes him to Captain Brian down at headquarters. Brian is here to explain the plot. 4 skin jobs, replicants with human appearances, hijacked a shuttle, killed 23 people, and took it down to Los Angeles, which is where they've gone to ground. Cain is retired now, but he's the best they've ever had, and they need him on this one. Cain doesn't like it, but Brian doesn't give him a choice. We get a quick rundown on the 4 replicants, and we find out that they want to get into the Tyrell Corporation that created them for an unknown reason. Brian also explains how replicants start with no emotions, but may develop them over time, making them unpredictable. That's why they also come with a 4-year lifespan. Cain's first stop is the Tyrell Corporation. They have a Nexus 6 model on hand, and so Brian wants to see if the Voight-Kampff test works on it. Cain meets with Dr. Eldon Tyrell and his assistant, Rachel. Tyrell asks Cain to try the test on Rachel, and Cain discovers that she's the replicant after an unusually long test. Tyrell explains that she's part of a new test run. She's implanted with false memories to give her a fake backstory, so her emotional reactions can be better predicted. Incidentally, this also means that she doesn't know she's a replicant. Cain then heads to Leon's last known address, locating a scale and a stack of old photos, but little else. Meanwhile, the leader of the replicants, Roy Batty, brings Leon to confront one Hannibal Chu in his frozen lab. After a little intimidation, Roy asks Hannibal about longevity, but all Hannibal knows is eyes. He tells them to speak with Tyrell, who designed the replicants' brains himself, and he tells them that J.F. Sebastian can help them meet Tyrell. Back with Cain, he's gone up to his apartment only to discover Rachel waiting for him. She overheard him and Tyrell talking about her being a replicant, and she produces a photo of her own to prove that she isn't. So Cain confronts her with a story of her past he shouldn't know about, but he does because it was one of her implanted memories. This upsets her, and so she leaves. We cut over to Pris, the pleasure model of the replicants, and she manipulates JF Sebastian into feeling sorry for her and taking her in. He shows her around the abandoned building he lives in and introduces her to the creepy toy robots he builds. Meanwhile, Kane is looking through some of his old things, possibly wondering whether he's a replicant and doesn't know it, and he sees this weird-ass vision of a unicorn. But he then gets to investigating the photos he got from Leon's place, and after zooming and enhancing on a background mirror, he discovers Zora, the second female replicant. Kane heads to the open-air market where an old Chinese lady examines his scale and tells him it belongs to an artificial snake, manufactured locally. He then tracks down the buyer to a cabaret in Chinatown. He finds out that one of the acts works with an artificial snake, so he approaches her under false pretenses, does a little investigating, and then Zora almost strangles him before getting interrupted and running away. So Kane chases her into the streets and shoots her down. Gaff and Brian track Kane down afterwards, and Brian casually mentions that Rachel is now on the hit list too, since she's gone missing. Kane spots her walking down the street, but before he could track her down, he meets Leon, who saw him kill Zora and isn't too happy. Leon kicks Kane's ass for a while, but then Rachel shows up with a gun and nails Leon in the head. They head back to Kane's apartment for a couple of stiff drinks, talk about Rachel's chances of getting away in her unknown lifespan, and then they make out against a Venetian blind, because this is neo-noir. Back with Pris, Roy has come to visit her and Sebastian to tell her the news about Leon and Zora. Sebastian actually knows the two of them are replicants, and he eventually agrees to help them meet with Dr. Terrell. When Roy and Terrell meet face to face, Roy demands a longer lifespan, but Terrell explains that it's biologically impossible. Terrell tries to comfort Roy by saying he's made the best of his 4 years of life, but Roy doesn't care for the consolation and crushes Terrell's skull with his bare hands. He also kills Sebastian off-screen, which results in Deckard Cain heading to Sebastian's place and encountering Pris. She ambushes him by pretending to be one of JR's creepy toys. Cain has his ass handed to him once again, but he finally manages to shoot Pris when she tries to get all fancy with her fatality move. Roy shows up soon after for his turn to beat up Cain, which he does, in between mourning Pris's death, and everything ends with Cain hanging off the side of a building. The movie's climax is really more of an experience than a plotline. Anyway, in the end, Roy decides to pull Cain off the ledge and gives the most famous monologue in the movie, a monologue that was actually written by Rutger Hauer. "I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die." And then he does, because his 4 years just came due. Gaff shows up just after to give Cain a new gun and imply that they know about Rachel, and there's a tense moment where Cain goes home and he isn't sure if she's dead or not. Luckily, she's not, and so he decides to take her and leave. Nobody stops them, but Cain does notice an origami figure of a unicorn, exactly the sort that Gaff likes to leave everywhere. Cain and Rachel get into the elevator, and that's the end of the movie. The analysis. The big unanswered question of Blade Runner, intentionally unanswered, is this: is Deckard Cain a replicant, or is he human? I saw a making-of featurette when I was researching this film, and the cast and crew are apparently split on the answer. Some say it wouldn't make sense if he is, others say that it wouldn't make sense if he isn't. Ridley Scott says he is, and he points to the unicorn motif. Deckard had that vision halfway through the film, and Griff leads an origami unicorn at the end, implying that he knows something. Still, you don't have to take his word for it. Death of the author and all that. Plus, if you ask me, it doesn't make much sense to build an android designed to kill other androids and have it be a middle-aged drunkard who sucks at fighting and is allowed to retire before his 4 years are up. Even if he's a prototype, those are just some senseless design decisions there. But that's not all there is to unpack. One particularly obvious theme comes from Roy meeting Terrell, a man meeting his creator, and asking him one of the burning questions of humanity. Why did you build us just so we could die? Terrell responds by quoting the Tao Te Ching, a candle that burns twice as bright, burns half as long. The implication? Mortality, an end to life, allows us to appreciate our lives more, lets us live our lives to the fullest because we know there is an end. But Roy isn't satisfied, and he turns the argument back on God. If you're such a fan of mortality, then why don't you try it? Why do you get to be immortal when everything you touch, everything that exists, will eventually end? And then, with his monologue at the end, Roy reveals why he fears death. Not because he stops existing, but because his memories will. Because all the things he's seen, all the stories he took part in, will vanish, and vanish so completely that it will be like they never existed in the first place. But then you have the biggest theme, which is the question, what is the nature of the human experience? Where do you draw the lines between a human and a not human? This is one of the themes that often comes up in Philip K. Dick novels, although in this case, the line is much blurrier in Blade Runner than it was in Electric Sheep. In the movie, replicants are human enough that they're eventually capable of emotional expressions, Roy in particular. At different times, he displays anger, determination, despair, sadness, madness, fear, and empathy. So what are replicants, if not immature human beings in a mature body, forced to fight, to perform manual labor, and to act as sex dolls for humans? What are we then doing when we condemn them to such a short lifespan? And then the distinction shrivels even further when implanted memories enter the mix. These memories make replicants even more human, but then it also introduces an essential, unavoidable distrust in your own memories, in the contents of your own brain. And there's not much I can say about this. There's not much we can do. Our memories are fallible in ways that go far beyond neurological diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. Incidentally, this theme is also very much in line with Philip K. Dick works, whose own perception and memory were quite fallible to say the least. People who knew him well suspected he suffered from amphetamine psychosis at the least. The last thing I'd like to mention is the cinematography and the art direction, which are both top-notch throughout the film. Ridley Scott may have dragged his crew through hell, but the atmosphere of this movie is absolutely stunning. Neo-noir and cyberpunk have a lot in common. Gray morality instead of good and evil, protagonists who tend to be more regular assholes than super smart or super tough powerhouses, and an atmosphere that skirts dystopia without falling in. It's no wonder that people still look to Blade Runner for artistic inspiration. Thanks for joining me again for Cyberpunk Corner, and I hope you'll join me next time when I tackle the one dystopian novel I don't even need to hint at.